everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing some full nail art using the new fall 2021 collection that has just been recently released from Kiki London. Now for today's video, I'm going to be working on a practice hand. So I have already applied and cured my base coat so we can jump straight into the design. First of all, I wanted to show you guys the colours I'm going to be using. So all three of these colours are from the new fall 2021 collection, which is available now on the Kiki London website. So I'm going to be using Ivory, Navy Baby and Pumpkin Spice. Now I did recently do a video swatching this collection, so if you missed that I will leave it linked in the description box below. So to jump in to the design, I'm going to start off by doing my bases on the pointer, middle and little finger. I'm not going to do the ring finger yet as I'm going to be doing an ombre on that nail. So I'm coming in with the gorgeous Pumpkin Spice to begin with. Now Pumpkin Spice is a beautiful pumpkin orange, but it's a little bit darker than your classic pumpkin orange, and I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful orange, and as you can see there, it's super highly pigmented. You could probably get away with only doing one coat of this color in certain situations. For today's video though, I am going to do 2 coats of all of the colors. Next up we have the gorgeous Ivory. Now this colour is beautiful and I love that it's a lighter shade and it works and complements all the other colours in this collection beautifully. Then on to the little finger, I'm going to be using a Pumpkin Spice again. Now as you can see, I've kept my first coat of colour fairly thin. I like to keep my first coat nice and thin, just get a nice neat cuticle line and get a thin even layer of colour down. Then I cure that for 30 seconds and then come in with my second coat of colour. Now I apply my second coat of colour ever so slightly thicker and I kind of just float it on, getting that nice neat even application. You will always see that whenever I'm applying the brush, I place it just back from the cuticle area and I kind of like shuffle and shimmy up into that cuticle area, getting as close to where that cuticle and skin would be without getting any on the cuticle or the skin area. And I like to do this by only having a small amount of gel polish on my brush. I don't like to have more gel polish than I'm going to need on that brush. So you'll see that when I'm applying the gel polish, I've completely wiped off one side of the brush and then I wipe off half of the other side of the brush. And that gives me enough gel polish for this length nails. Of course, you can adapt the amount you have on your brush depending on the length of nails that you are working on. So I'm then going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds and just look how those 2 colours work together. Absolutely beautiful. Now for our ombre, I'm going to be using Ivory and Navy Baby. Now this, I'm not going to lie, was quite a tricky ombre. It was kind of very similar to ombre in black and white because we have a very light colour and a very dark colour. And Navy Baby especially is very highly pigmented as well. So I went for it and got the ombre as best as I could, but I knew I was always going to be coming over the top with some water decals anyway, which is a great thing to do if you are ombreing 2 colours together that are a little bit tricky. You can cover any blends that are not perfect with a little bit of nail art. So as you see, I've placed the Ivory 3/4 of the way down the nail and I've placed the Navy Baby at the very tip of the nail. I sometimes will do half and half with the colours, but this time I took the Ivory 3/4 of the way down because of how highly pigmented the Navy Baby would be. I didn't want it to overtake the Ivory. Then I'm taking my Kiki London Ombre brush and I'm just beginning by blending those 2 colours in the centre of the nail. So I'm not going backwards and forwards as fast as what it looks in this video, as I have sped the video up. I'm very carefully going backwards and forwards and blending those 2 colours together. Once I've blended out the harsh line between the Ivory and the Navy Baby, I'm going down into the Ivory a little bit more. So I always like to think of an ombre as you're creating a third colour in the centre. So once you've got that third colour, you want to blend it in with your first colour and then blend it in with your second colour. So here where the Ivory was a lot lighter, that's where I spent a lot more of my time blending. So you can see here, I'm blending that lighter shade of blue that we've created in the center of the nail into the Ivory, just so that there's a nice transition between the ivory, the new colour and the navy baby. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go in to the navy baby, and this isn't as hard to blend together because we've got a lighter shade of blue blending into the darker shade of blue, if that makes sense. Now this is only the first coat, so it's never going to look perfect. With an ombre especially, you're always going to need at least 2 coats, so don't stress too much about getting your first coat of ombre perfect. Once I've cured that first coat, I'm going to do exactly the same again. So I'm coming in with that ivory, being really careful around the cuticle line, and then pulling the colour roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail. And then I'm going to take the navy baby and apply that to the very tip of the nail. You don't want to apply too much gel polish. As you see there, I did wipe a little bit off my brush. And you do also want to be very careful that you're not contaminating your bottle brushes with the previous colour you used. So always check them before you pop them back in the bottle. And if you have picked up another colour, then just give your bottle brush a little wipe before popping it back into the bottle. Then I'm doing exactly the same again, taking my ombre brush, blending out the center line of the nail, getting rid of that harsh line, between the 2 colors, just blending that together to create that lighter blue shade. And on your second coat of color, you want to pay more attention to getting the fade as perfect as you can, because this is going to be your coat of color that's going to be on the surface and you're going to see. So here I'm kind of just looking where needs more blending. So if the ivory needs more blending into the blue, I'm just focusing on that, and then vice versa. If the blue needs more blending into that middle color, I'm focusing on that. And then I'm just being really careful to make sure that I catch the sidewalls of the nail and that I'm happy with that. Now, before I pop my ombre into cure, I always leave it for around 60 seconds to help those lines settle a little bit and just to help the colours bleed into one another again. Then I've cured it and I'm now going to come in and top coat. So I'm going to be applying water decals over the surface of this nail, but it is a little bit bumpy and uneven from my ombre, just because, like I said, it was a bit of a tricky ombre, so it wasn't perfect. So I want to make sure I've got a nice smooth surface for my water decals to go on top of. So that's why I'm coming in and top coating now. Now I've also opted to use this particular top coat from Kiki London because it's their top coat that leaves the tacky inhibition layer, and I'm going to need that for my water decals. So talking of water decals, here are the ones I chose to use. So I have the Autumn Forest and Autumn Mix water decals, and I've cut out the ones that I want to use on this set. So like I said, with the top coat, I've chosen to use the one that's not a no wipe top coat, so the one that leaves that tacky inhibition layer behind, and I've left that behind, or I wanted that tacky inhibition layer, because I want my decals to have something to grab onto. Usually I would apply the water decals directly over my gel polish, so you've got the tacky inhibition layer from the gel polish, and that's why, because I wanted there to be a layer of top coat between the ombre and the water decals, I've opted to use that one that leaves behind the tacky layer, just because the water decals apply a lot easier if you're applying them down onto a tacky surface. Now I'm applying my decals using the stamper method. So I've popped down my decal, soaked the backing paper with some room temperature water, slid off the backing paper, and then I'm placing that down onto the nail. Once I've got it down on the nail, I'm just using the Kiki London Silicone Tool to smooth out the water decal, get out any creases and any bubbles, and just help move them into place to exactly where I want them to be. So as you can see, I'm just nudging that pumpkin down a little bit so we've got some room there for the leaves. Once again, I'm going to repeat that process. So apply your water decal image down onto the stamper. I'm then using the angled nail art brush to apply some room temperature water, just giving it a good scrub in because this speeds up the process of removing the backing paper from the image. Then as you see, that backing paper slides off effortlessly and you're able to press down your image. So I'm just faffing around trying to make this fit. I hadn't really thought out this design too much, and these leaves did end up being really close together and overlapping slightly, which is okay. I felt as though it still looked quite cute, and I liked the fact there was just more than just the pumpkin on this nail. But I'm being extra careful here around that cuticle area just to make sure that I've got out all of the creases and the bubbles of the water decals, and I'm happy with how they're positioned. Once they're lying nice and flat, that is this now finished until we come in and top coat further along. So on to the middle finger. On this now, I wanted to do a French nail. I really loved how the Ivory and the Navy Baby worked together. So I thought when I was thinking up this set in my head that rather than having a nude as my base for my French, I would give it a go with the Ivory. And I do quite like how it turned out, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, whenever I'm doing a French, I like to map it out first of all. So I usually paint a line across the nail, and this is how deep I want my smile line to be. However, when it comes to doing this nail, everything just went wrong. I didn't draw my line straight away to begin with. And I feel personally for me, if I do these steps wrong, then the whole French nail doesn't flow. So ideally try and get this step right, and then your angles and your French just go on a lot more smooth. But I wasn't having much luck today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I would rectify that anyway. So I haven't painted my straight line far enough down the nail to begin with. It's just a teeny tiny bit too close to the tip of the nail, and then it wasn't straight or even, so I had to fix that up when it comes to doing these sidewall bits here. So as I'm coming in and curving, you'll see that I'm bringing that arch or that curve for the smile line in a little bit more, and I'm making sure that the line across the nail is nice and even. And then I'm kind of just freehanding this French because that step went wrong. So I'm just kind of going from side to side and trying to get it as neat and as symmetrical as possible. I also wanted it to be a little bit thicker on the sides, so I'm coming in and doing that with my brush as well. Now when you are doing a client's nails, obviously you can ask them their preference, because when it comes to a French, there's so many different looks. Some clients want just the very tip of the nail with the French tip, and some will want a more deeper dramatic French. Some will want it looking more square, some will want it looking more rounded. And that's what's great about gel polish, because you've got plenty of time to play around with it. Nothing's going to dry until it cures. You could even wipe it off and start again if you wanted to. Now with this particular nail, like I said, it didn't go 100% to plan, so I'm going to take my round nail art brush and show you guys how I would fix up a French when I'm doing this. So I've got my round nail art brush and I've just dampened it slightly with a little bit of alcohol, and then I'm able to come in and clean up and even out the shape of that French nail tip. So because the round nail art brush has a nice rounded tip, I'm able to apply a little bit of pressure and create that nice circular shape that you want in your French design. So here again, you can see I'm just pressing down and cleaning up, and then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then I do want to apply a second coat of colour, just because I had applied that a little bit uneven and patchy. So I want to come in, crisp up my sides and get a nice even coverage. And I find it a lot easier when I'm doing a French to perfect the shape with my second coat of colour. So here you'll see I'm pretty much following the lines and the tip that we've created on that first coat of colour, but any areas that are a little bit uneven or not very sharp or not perfect, I'm able to perfect them with the second coat of colour. So I'm being really careful here, letting my brush do a lot of the work for me. I'm allowing the bristles to fan out ever so slightly with a little bit of pressure, just to get that nice neat edge. And then I'm going to swap to my bottle brush to paint the very tip on, so that I get a nice even coverage. If you don't feel confident doing that step with the bottle brush, you can also use the Kiki London round nail art brush there as well. And like I said, I really loved how Ivory and Navy Baby looked together. I thought it was a really elegant, classy combination. So this is what our nails are looking like so far. I then decided I was going to grab another one of the water decals from the Autumn Mix collection. So I've cut that out and I begin applying this using the jelly stamper method. But one of the amazing things about water decals is you can apply these ones either way around. So if you want to reverse the image, you can, but you can't really do that when you're applying them with the jelly stamper method. So I originally popped this down and I wanted it flipped, so the leaf was going the other way. You'll see what I mean as we get to it. So I press it down and I'm kind of like, no, that just doesn't really work. I don't like how it's positioned. So I'm gently going to peel it off with some tweezers, and then I'm going to turn it so effectively the water decal is upside down. And then I'm going to pop that down exactly where I want it to go. As you can see, the shape of the leaf just flows a lot nicer this way around. So then I'm just gently nudging that into place. Don't worry that there's a little bit of overhang up near the cuticle area. We are going to remove that. But before doing that, I just wanted to smooth out my water decal. So then here I've switched to my angled nail art brush. I've popped a little bit of acetone on it, and that's going to melt away that excess water decal at that cuticle area. You want to make sure you remove any of that excess, because otherwise it will cause the top coat to peel and lift away. Talking of top coat, we're now ready to come in and top coat this set of nails. Now, I really wanted to do this set matte because I really wanted to see what some of these new fall 2021 colours would look like with a matte surface. So I'm taking my Kiki London No Wipe Matte Top Coat, and I'm just applying a thin layer of this to all of the nails, really working it around those water decals to make sure that they're going to get nicely sealed in, so that if a client was wearing these, they would last the duration of the set. Then once I've applied that layer of top coat, I'm then going to pop these in to cure for 30 seconds, and you will see how they go from a gorgeous glossy set to a gorgeous matte set. Let me know in the comments below, did you prefer them matte or glossy? I'm very much on team matte when it comes to lots of sets of nails, but I know a lot of other people are the opposite. But they do look gorgeous glossy as well. Now, I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, then please do give it a thumbs up or leave us a comment below. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do consider hitting that subscription button. If you have any comments or requests, then also please do just pop them below and I will be happy to help. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.